Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you episode 1 of my Half the Haul challenge for 2026. If you missed my announcement video, which I'll link down below, in Half the Haul what I am doing is taking my haul from the previous month and reading half of the books, and there's one caveat power-up which I really hope I get this month that can help me out with this task. So let's get started. By the time this video is uploaded, you'll already have seen my January book haul. I'm not going to talk you through all of the books, otherwise that would make this vlog a bit too long, but I'll leave that link down below as well in case you wanted to check it out and see what the books are that I've hauled in and where I got them from. Now, I always knew that my December haul and my January haul would be the hardest ones to film because December is Christmas and January is my birthday, and so we are splitting the haul for December in this vlog. Now, these are the books that we are dealing with. We have 28 books here in my haul, so that means if I'm halving the haul I need to read 14 of these books. I also have already read 3 of the books from my haul: Good Spirits by B.K. Borison, Making Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley Jones, and The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I read The Poppy War a very long time ago, and those other 2 books are upgrade versions from books that I really enjoyed and loved in December. So that means now, with those 3 books detracted from me having the haul, I need to read 11 books in this video, which is going to be quite a lot of books to tackle. I may have to split this into part 1 and part 2, but before we do that, let's keep everything crossed that my power-up comes into play. So I'm going to ask my dad to pick a number between 1 to 6. Then I'm going to roll the die that I have, which is 1 to 6, and if I get the number that he has chosen, it means that I don't have to half the haul, I only have to 25% the haul. I just have to quarter my haul, which means we would only be reading 7 books, and I've already read 3, so that means I would only need to read 4 books, which would be an absolute dream. And also those 4 books wouldn't have to be from the haul itself, but they could be from anywhere on my shelves, so I could literally just read 4 novellas and kick them off my TBR. But first of all, we've got to roll the dice and see what we get. Alright, so Dad, so what I need you to do is choose a number, any number between 1 and 6.
Well, my favourite number's 2.
So we're going with 2.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, hoping for a number 2. We got number 6. Well, I guess I will be reading 11 books. Thanks for your help, Dad. So, someone tell Effie that the odds were not in my favour because I will be reading 11 books for the first episode of this vlog. So I am going to split this into part 1 and part 2. And in part 1 I'll read 6 books, and in part 2 I'll read 5 books. The way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to mood read my way through this TBR stack, so I won't give you like a solid TBR of what I'm going to be reading. But the first book that I'm going to pick up is Hello Limerence by Momo Yamaguchi. This is a review copy that was sent to me by Faber. It comes out in June, so look at me getting to my proofs early because of this challenge. In this one you're following our main character. She is 25 and all she's got to show for it is a rubbish office job and a terminal case of virginity, and she decides she's going to do something different. And when she attends a party, somebody else catches her eye, somebody she thinks is very cute, and this could either be limerence or it could be the start of something much less one-sided. I don't actually know what limerence means. Should we go and look that up and then we should start reading? I'm also filming this on the 31st of December just because I'm not going to get any new books today, so you get to join me for New Year's in central London.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
hope you enjoyed getting to see us in central London for the new year. I cooked dinner for my parents. We had a vegetarian tofu and chickpea pie that they really enjoyed. We had some Prosecco, we had Bailey spiked with coffee, we sang to the classics like ABBA and ELO, and some gospel music because it's much loved by both my parents. And then me and my mum went to central London to do the central London fireworks, and that was absolutely phenomenal. It was the best fireworks I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen some jolly good fireworks as we've done New Year's in like Brussels, we've done them in Berlin, we've done them in Vienna. And yeah, every New Year's experience I've had somewhere new has been special in its own way, but it was really nice to do the central London one. We were very up close. The videos don't capture it, and then I just put my camera away because I just wanted to be in awe looking at the fireworks and enjoy my experience, which I very much did. It was like we were all chanting loudly and then everybody was silent as the music and the voiceover playing. I'm going to leave the link to the fireworks down below if you want to check them out, but with that voiceover, with all the snippets and tidbits of British culture, that's the most patriotic I've ever felt. And I'm not very patriotic at all, so that was really interesting as an emotional experience. But we are here to talk about this haul that I'm kind of nervous about now. I'm feeling a bit nervous about this challenge because this haul is quite big, and we're 3 days into the new year, which is not much, and I haven't finished my first read of 2026 yet, which that's not normal for me. It's usually done by now. It's usually done on the 1st. So my parents have been here, they've left today, and I am halfway through Hello Limerence, and it's my first read of the year and I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it whatsoever. So I'm finding it very plotless. It's literally just about her life as a 25-year-old, and I thought there would be more. I thought there would be more obsession. I thought there would be more spiral. I thought there would be more autonomy in the fact that she feels stuck, and so she's going to do something crazy and be very obsessed with this man, but she hasn't really done anything to off-center other than the thoughts that are inside her head where she imagines the off-center things that she could do. And so in the end I'm just feeling a bit like uncomfortable reading about her because I don't like her. She's not a likable person. She's very caught up in these fantasies and ideals and mindsets that she has in her own delirium, and I'm just not there with her. And some of the things that are happening to her is atrocious, especially within the workplace. The sexism, the misogyny, and the casual like sexual advances that she has to face is really terrible, and so I feel for her in that regard. And sometimes when she's talking about aging out of friendships or feeling like the undesirable friend, or just some very typical feelings that people in their young 20s have about aging, about family, about love, sometimes there are these lines where I'm just like, oh my gosh, that resonates, that feels very relatable, that feels like something I can understand and connect to. And sometimes the writing style uses repetition in a very choicey way that emphasizes the emotion that the author's trying to bring across. So like, for example, she'll be like, I'm sitting at my silly little desk doing this silly little job that pays me a silly little penance, and I'm here just because I can't get another silly little job elsewhere. And when it does things like that, I'm like, okay, we all been there, we feel this way, you know, we understand how this feels. But then every now and again, things that she does just gives me the ick, or I'm annoyed with her, and I don't know. This has been going on for 126 pages. I've got 75 pages until the end, and she's just doing the same things on a spiral again and again, being delirious about these men loving her when they really clearly don't. And I'm just like, what is going to come at the end of this book? Is she going to learn something? Is she going to progress? I can't see where this book is going because it's been doing the same thing for 125 pages. And I've been reading this for a long time. It feels like, I know 3 days is not a long time, but it feels like a long time to me because I'm dragging my way through this. I want to be finished. I'm kind of bored. I've got my 300 Foxway Raven Cycle candle. I'm going to sit down and read a little bit more today. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it, but I'm just going to keep on reading bit by bit, and I'll update you as I go along. This is a Monday morning for me and I'm here to tell you about the first book that I finished for this project. I'm wearing my Gallifrey University jumper, so I'm feeling very Whovian, and I don't know why I'm smiling. I'm here to tell you I didn't like the first book that I read for this vlog, but it didn't end up being my first read of the year, for which I'm grateful, because I actually finished reading Radio Silence before I finished this. Not for this vlog, so we're not going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about Hello Limerence, which I finished, and I didn't like this. I did get to the end last night, and the end was interesting because the end decided to throw something unexpected. Like, I did not think that our character was going to do what she did at the end, and I liked that because it was actually hinted at throughout reading this book. But I do think it doesn't really mean anything. Like, what does this book mean? What have I taken away from this book? Nothing. So I don't think this was a good book. And when I'm saying like, oh, something happened at the end that was unexpected, it's not a big plot twist, it's not a downward spiral, it's not something big, it's just something that happens. And so I just think this book didn't fulfill anything that I wanted from it. And another problem I have with it is that it's set in Japan, and in the beginning I actually thought it was set in the US for a bit, and it just feels like a very wishy-washy use of setting, whereas Japan is such a culturally rich place that I do think it could have been grounded there a bit more. But maybe it's some commentary on how like the Western culture is influencing the, you know, Asian culture, but it just didn't do the commentary. It could have been commentary on that, but it wasn't. That's what I mean. This book had so much potential that was untapped. But yeah, I didn't like this. We are moving on to the next read, but I'm glad that it didn't sit on my shelves for ages and then I discovered I didn't like it later on. And in the true form of me reading through my proofs here, the next book I'm going to read is Half His Age. Oh, the lighting is Half His Age by Jennette McCurdy. This is another literary fiction book. I'm hoping I'm going to like it more. And in this one, you're following a student who starts to fall for her teacher. She is half his age, and it's about what happens around that. I'm actually already started this because I finished Hello Limerence last night, and I do read in the mornings before work, so I started reading Half His Age, and I am 50 pages in so far, so I'm very much at the beginning, and I'm feeling okay about it as well. But I do think I'm just at the beginning, so I can't judge it too much. But I will say that the writing, it goes for so fast. It's really flowy. The sentences are very short. It's almost the writing style that I would expect in a thriller, but it's giving it to me in a literary fiction book. It's very clear that she is the one who has a crush on this teacher. I don't know if the teacher's going to take advantage of that or not. And you can already see that there is some element of her mother who kind of makes herself pretty for these men who use her and then discard her. And she's not a very good mother. She's not there for her daughter a lot. You can already see that she has picked up habits and traits from her mother and is perpetuating them in her own life. And I do think it's interesting to see that kind of generational carrying over of trauma, and like the mother is abused by a lot of her boyfriends, and so she's setting herself up for the potentiality of being in a relationship that will abuse her as a teenager. So I do think there's some thought that has been put into this novel, and I can see the themes that it's drawing out already. But yeah, this is what the cover looks like, and I'm gonna keep reading. Oh, and also yesterday I went to Columbia Road Flower Market with my friend for the very first time. We had mulled wine and we browsed the market, and I ended up taking home 2 succulents. I have a spider plant already, but I'm not a green thumb. I usually kill everything that is in my care. So this spider plant has survived 2 months with me, which is not my record. So I'm just keeping an eye on my spider plant, hoping she'll be okay. She's called Portia from Children of Time. But I don't know what my succulents will be named yet. If they get names, they're on my desk at the moment. That's where they live so far, and I just hope that they'll be okay and they'll survive. But that was a really fun outing with my friend. But yeah, this week is very chill. It's the first week where everybody's back at work, so I didn't want to put in any social plans during my work week so that I could have a more chill, getting used to work, getting used to waking up at 5 AM to do my workouts again. So we're just having a bit of like everyday life this week, and then on the weekend we get to do fun things again. So hopefully there'll be plenty of time for me to read this book. morning on this cold. Have a cup of tea. Let me get my cup of tea. All right. That is much better. Okay. Good morning on this cold and rainy Friday afternoon. Well, no, I said good morning. It's Friday morning. Wow, we're off to a great start. You can tell how busy my return to work has been. All of my energy has basically been in returning to work, so I don't even know what I've shown you. It's probably just me pottering around my flat, working out every morning and trying to get back into routine. But now I've got hazelnut chocolate tea and I'm here to tell you my thoughts so far. Gotta get the book. On Half His Age by Jennette McCurdy, which I am 100 pages from the end of. So I already told you what this book is about. I already told you that I read her memoir and I'm finding it okay. I thought I was gonna love it at this point, but I just don't. That's a full stop. I don't love it the way I was expecting to, but I don't think it's bad. I agree with what I said in the beginning, like the writing and the chapters are short and direct and to the point, but sometimes that just means we're losing a bit of nuance, losing a bit of thinking for yourself in terms of what the story is giving us. And I had this with Limerence as well. It's falling into repetitive cycles, like repetitive cycles around the consumerism behind something bad happening, her going shopping, something bad happening, her going shopping. But also I think when you're in these relationships that are toxic, that are terrible, that are bad, and that are illegal in this case, you do end up following repetitive patterns. I was talking to Fid from Can Read Will Read about this when we were discussing Hello Limerence, because she's read it as well. She was like, yeah, in those situations you are doing the same things again and again, you're having those same thoughts and you're boring yourself. And I do think that's accurate and that is valid. It just means that I am bored as a reader, and I do think there's a way that you can show this without making the reader bored. And I can't help but compare this book to My Dark Vanessa, which I read last year, and I'll leave a link to my wrap-up where I review that particular book. But it's dealing with something similar where a student is in a relationship with their teacher, but I think that one did a much better job of showing how traumatic it is, whereas this one, it's not showing how traumatic it is, because the teacher is an absolute man-child and I can absolutely see that, and you can see how he is being manipulative and he is taking advantage of her and he is playing with her emotions. Like, that is very clearly shown. So I'm not going to say that this book is not showing me anything, but I am feeling just a bit bored with the repetitiveness of it, and I'm not feeling like it's showing how awful it can be completely. I don't know. I just think My Dark Vanessa made me feel really disturbed and disgusted and loads of emotions, but this one, it's I'm not feeling that to this extent. And I do notice this is a case of me comparing the book, and if I read this first, I still don't think that's the problem. I just think I'm finding it okay, and I wanted to love it, but I am just finding it okay. Not to say that I would say don't read this book. I think if you haven't read My Dark Vanessa, you're going to have a better time with this, and if you have, then maybe this will feel a bit like a second runner in that respect. But for now, I'm going to drink this tea, I'm going to get to work, working from home, and then this evening I am going to the theatre for the first time in 2025, which I'm so excited about. I'm going to see All My Sons, which is an Arthur Miller play. I've already read it. I did like it when I read it, and the casting for this is amazing. I'm going to put some names on the screen here because I have a terrible memory when it comes to like celebrity names, but these are the people who are in it, and I'm so excited to see it. Can't wait, and I will tell you my thoughts when I get back, and hopefully we'll have finished reading this book. Hi. I matched the book that I'm going to talk to you about. So, we've got a lot to talk about, lots has been happening. It's been a long time since I've last vlogged, and that's simply because it just took me a long time to finish Half His Age. So we're actually going to start with the life update because you've just seen all of that b-roll, and I want to explain to you what you have been looking at. So first of all, I did go and see All My Sons in the theatre, and this was fantastic, and I just have to say I was in awe when I was watching this. It was absolutely fantastic. A moment for the play. Arthur Miller. Okay, Arthur Miller is the master of he said, she said. There's a core memory, there's a core moment, that is a deciding factor in everybody's lives, and it's all about how is that moment remembered, what happened, what didn't happen, and slowly the mounting tension between the he said, she said comes to a bubbling boil, and then it's revealed what really happened and the consequences of this. This is something he's done across many of his plays, and All My Sons is no different, and it is fantastic. It's all in one setting, but I really loved the way that these actors brought it to life, and they perfectly embodied that mounting slow tension and that emotional explosion to the harrowing ending of this play. And the lighting in this production was phenomenal, and the music in it was really well timed, and I noticed the silences, I noticed the slowly mounting music, and I don't always notice that, but I could feel my emotions being played, and I'm like, why am I feeling so vividly in this scene? And then I would think about the lighting and the sound, and I'm like, oh yeah, they got me bad, they got me bad. So this was a fantastic play, and the actors all did a fantastic job, and I had such a good time with that. I had such a whirlwind weekend. I then went and did an escape room with a friend. It's one of the hardest escape rooms in London. We did not escape, it was only me and this friend doing it together, so there was just two of us. And even though we didn't escape, the escape manager said we did really, really well. Went out for lunch, then came home, had 1 hour, then I had to go to pre-drinks with my friend and we went clubbing. We went to House Party in Soho. I'm not sure if anybody who watches my channel goes clubbing in London, but if you are going to go to House Party. It's got fantastic R&B and rap music, and it mimics a house party. So you've got all these different rooms, like the kitchen, the basement where the car is parked, and like the bedrooms, and so with a bunk bed and everything. So it's not just like, oh, you're clubbing, and there are like DJs and club rooms, but it's also like you can go into one of the bedrooms and Mario Kart is set up, and you can play like old school video games, you know, like back in the day. Or there's like foosballs and old school computers with webcams where you can take photos. Like, it's very much mimicking the house party vibes, and I really like that, and it made me miss house parties, and so I really had a lot of fun. Got back at 4 a.m. and then woke up early in the morning the next day to clean my house because I had my family over. So my parents were in the UK, and my older sister came over, my nephew came over, which means you really have to clean, because if my nephew finds like little things, it can be hazards. So no dirt, nothing to pick up off the ground. We went out for lunch, which you also saw, and you saw us all together. And then I went to games night at my friend's after I left my family from going out for lunch, went out for games night, came home and was absolutely exhausted. I got my butt handed to me in Articulate and in Uno No Mercy, so yeah, that was fun. So that was my whirlwind weekend, and then on Monday it was Simi's one-person show. So Simi, my younger sibling, has been working on this theatre show that they have produced, that they directed, that they wrote. They hired the prop designer, set designer, you know, did the advertising. Everything was them. It was all them, and they have put on the show, which is now past, for 2 nights at Bloomsbury Theatre in London. It was sold out for both nights, and I went to see it, and it was emotional. I kind of already knew everything that was going to happen in it because I had proofread the script for Simi, but it was amazing to see it come together, like all of their hard work, the costumes. It was based on their life and the things that they have been through, and for the things that they have been through, the atrocities that they have faced, the many changes and stages of their life, I have been there every single step of the way, and it was just so emotional to see that performance, and Simi smashed it. They were amazing. I was so proud, just unbelievably proud. And it was also nice to go the first night because, you know, that's why my parents had flown over, my cousins were there, all like the extended family, old family friends. So it was also a reunion of some sorts, but it was just so amazing and so wonderful, and I'm such a proud older sibling. I've shown you the flowers in the flat. All of these flowers are Simi's, you know, people bought them flowers to celebrate. Also we did. So there's flowers everywhere. It feels like spring exploded here, and it's so deserved. And I think that's pretty much everything. We've had a new dishwasher installed, which I'm so glad about because ours has been broken for a month, and I do all the cooking in this place, I do all the food prep. I have to as a carer, so we physically can't do that. So one of my needs when we moved into a flat and when I became a full-time carer was that we had a dishwasher. I wanted somewhere with a working dishwasher because there's just no way time consumption wise that I could cook all of the meals and then do all the dishes for 2 people all the time. It just wasn't gonna happen. So it's been a hard month, but now I got a dishwasher that works. I've already run a full load. Brilliant, back on track. Book time, we're not back on track. I feel like the first 2 reads I've done have not been great. Harper's Age was okay. I think I've mostly talked out with you all of my thoughts, but I was a bit dissatisfied with the ending. I think when you have such a tough subject matter like this, the ending needs to say something significant. It needs to really hammer home a message, because this is not a book that you're writing without a message, is it? And I don't think it had a message. I think it just ended. And also I think it is very clear that she's being groomed. It is very clear that this teacher is despicable and he's the one in the wrong. But in some ways I felt like our teenage character had too much control. Like the ball felt like it was in her court a lot. And maybe that's commentary as well, because teenagers in these situations think they're in control, but really they're not in control. They cannot be in control at that age with someone like predatory like that. But I just wanted it to be more distinct, that all of the blame is on him, that it's not her choices. It's all the blame is on him. And the book is saying that, okay? I'm not saying the book's not saying that, but I think it needed to be more blatant for me to be happy. I couldn't stop comparing this to My Dark Vanessa because it does what My Dark Vanessa does, but I do think My Dark Vanessa does it better. But there is a bit of a different focus in this because it is more commentary on the cycles of neglect and the cycles of trauma, and I think it reflected that theme particularly well. All in all, I found this an okay read. Very quick, very easy to read, but definitely not, like if I'm going to recommend someone a book about this subject matter, it will be My Dark Vanessa over this one. I've still been reading though, and actually I left the book in the other room, but I'm just going to put the cover on screen. But I've only got 60 pages left in The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson, and that's because I started it to kind of keep me motivated along reading this one, and I can't stop. I just can't stop. This is my second Tiffany D. Jackson book, and it's a young adult horror novel about these teenagers who go to uni. I guess they're not teenagers anymore, but you're still technically a teenager. Anyway, they go to uni, they go into an all-black uni, and there's only one white boy at this black uni. And one of the roommates' sisters invites her brother to come and stay in their dorm room. He's an ex-convict, he's just out of prison, he's older than all of them. He's there to stay, and slowly things start to go wrong. He starts to kind of control these friends, and it starts blossoming across the campus. And then there's also this thing with like the only white boy at the uni. Why is he there at this uni? Why does he feel drawn to go to what is typically known as like a black uni? Okay, that's the story. This is so scary. This is so horrifying, and my favorite horror is psychological horror. This is what I typically like in my films, and I don't actually read it that much, but like, why not? Why not? This is what this has shown me. Now, all of the horror in this book is psychological and emotional. I was wondering what kind of message it was going to send with the fact that an ex-convict comes in and is kind of the villain in this story, but Tiffany D. Jackson was on it. She already knows that she is dealing with a very like big subject, and it's nuanced. It's going into the nuance, and a lot of this is about the horrors of conspiracy theories and being suspicious of what we are being taught and what we know. And there are places and times when it's correct for the black community to be suspicious, to have their doubts, but there are other times when I just think it doesn't make sense. One of these like big discussions that happened in the black community was around the time that we got the COVID vaccine. And a lot of black people did not want to take the vaccine because they were like, this medicine has not been tested on black people, it's not been made for black people, it's not going to help us, we'd rather not be vaccinated. And then, you know, there are black people who are like, get the vaccine, we don't want to die, we want to be like sanctioned against COVID, we want to be healthy. Now, I want to make it clear, this is not the same conversation as people who are non-vaxxers because they are like, I don't want to take a vaccine. This is more so to do with the fact that mostly medicine is not tested on black people. Long-term effects in black people are known, and while the long-term effects in the whole vaccine was unknown, like specifically black people have these fears and these thoughts and these concerns. and I think that that's a more justifiable conversation. But also there were no long-term tests like get the vaccine, you know? So I don't know, that's kind of the topic that this is talking about within conspiracy theories, but it's also really untangling cult-like behavior and this like very distinctive discriminating against groups of people. And it is fascinating, and it is scary, and it's frustrating, especially in terms of emotional abuse and manipulation. And I just find it petrifying while I'm reading this. I'm just like, I don't know how this is going to end. It's making me very stressed, and it feels very sinister and haunting and realistic. And I think because it's so realistic, I am so petrified for these teenagers. There's also like a sub-romance which is happening. It's a side thing, but a lot of that has to do around this romance is about moving through grief. And you know me, if a book's about grief, I'm there. And so I really actually like how the sub storyline of the grief is being handled. It's not a main theme at all, but I do like and find it realistic how it's being handled. And I think this couple is very cute together. So even though it's the smallest of romances, I'm still like, I ship it. It's making me happy. So I've got the happiness, I've got the horror, and that is a perfect blend for me. I've only got 60 pages left. I'm gonna meal prep, make dinner. Let's finish this very good book, and I'll come back with my thoughts, because then we'll be halfway through the part 1 vlog. Half the whole challenge is a challenge. That took no time at all. I finished reading The Scammer, and I really enjoyed this. This is the best thing I've read for this vlog so far. It was really, really fun. I didn't love the ending. I just feel like I'm not finding a perfect book here, but I didn't love the ending. I think the ending did something that I don't particularly like in horror books. I've seen it done in horror books quite a bit, and I don't really love when the book does that, because I think for this kind of thing to be fully pulled off, it needs to be believable, and I find it very hard for it to be believable with the parameters that it sets early on in the novel. That's all I can say. If you want to chat spoilers with me in the comments, we can, but for those who haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it. But other than the ending, I actually think this book is absolutely perfect, because I had so much fun with it, and before we get to the ending, you know, things start to come together and things start to click into place, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's really creepy. And though there was one element of it that I did see coming as soon as it was mentioned, like as soon as the first stirrings of it was mentioned, everything else I was like, oh, I didn't, you know, put these pieces together. I did think we got to the end and I was like, how is this all gonna, you know, work out? But it does. In the end, it all does come together, and it is very fun, and it is a really good book, and I think it tackles its heavy themes well. So I do think this does a lot of good stuff, and I would love for more people to read Tiffany D. Jackson, because I think she writes very fun, creepy horror stuff, and there's also some other stuff that she writes as well, very well. So yay, my second Tiffany D. Jackson, and I really enjoyed it. This means we are halfway through part 1 vlog, which is a very, very exciting time for me, because that means we get to do the first tea from the newest Bird and Blend Co. tea advent calendar. So if you're new here, we read books and we drink tea on this channel. So what I do is that halfway through every vlog, I try a tea that is absolutely new to me, or hopefully is new to me, and I take them from a tea advent calendar. It doesn't have to be during Christmas time. I just like having something new to taste for every vlog, and not knowing what it is. It just makes it more fun and more surprising. If you are watching vlogs that I filmed in 2025, you'll see that I'm trying a Tea Pigs calendar. If you watch any videos older than that, it's a Puka tea calendar, and this is my third one, Bird and Blend Co. I really love their teas. They have such creative flavors, and what I like about this one is that they're in boxes. Look at those shiny numbers, and in each box there's 2 of the tea, so you don't just have to drink it once, you get to try it twice, and that's operating on the idea that most British people have more than 1 cup of tea a day. I do, so then you get 2 for your advent calendar. And as well as this, up here in this corner here, there's a little guide, and it says that on every box it will show you the caffeine level in like 25% stages for the tea that you've got, so you know if you want to drink it before bed or if it's decaf. It will tell you how many minutes to brew the tea for, whether that's 3, 4 or 4 plus. It'll have a sign with milk or a sign with milk crossed out, which means it can be drank nicely with milk, or you can choose to drink it with milk. You know, either which way you can have it black, but some of them you really don't want to be putting milk in there. and then on some of them it'll say 80 degrees, and that means the ideal temperature for it is 80 degrees other than the standard. But I don't have a kettle that will tell me the degrees, like it doesn't boil up until a certain degree level. I just get standard every single time, so that factor is not going to impact me. If it says milk, I'm not having milk in it. Sorry, I don't do that. Don't mess with that. I'm too Dutch to be putting milk in my tea. Okay, we got the first one. This is so cute. Oh, it I didn't know, but it tells you on the side what flavour it is, and then on this side it says how to brew it. So I should actually open it before I look on the sides. Should I? Oh no, it doesn't say anything inside. Okay, so I do need to look on the side to see what the flavours are. This is the first time. There was always going to be trial and error. So it says gingerbread chai. That is the flavour I've gotten. It is their award-winning chai spice gingerbread flavour. I've actually had this before because when the advent calendar comes, it comes with 2 free samples of their flavours, and one of mine was the gingerbread chai. So I have had this before. Caffeine free, so it's before bed, so I'll have one. Brew it for over 4 minutes with or without milk, and it says the ingredients. So rooibos, ginger, cardamom, cinnamon, mallow flowers, and then flavouring. Wonderful. Cool. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the good stuff. Alright, we got our first tea flavour. So what I do is I then brew the tea. I'm saying this because I've got lots of new people on my channel lately. I brew the tea, I taste it, and I come back and let you know how it tastes. And as well as that, we are going to be starting our 4th book for the vlog, and that is going to be more literary fiction. I hauled in a lot of literary fiction proofs in December, and if you can't tell, I'm starting this vlog with the proofs that I need to read in an attempt to like keep up with publication dates, review the books that have been sent. So we've got Dominion by Addie Citchens next. What I know of this one is that it's a black literary fiction book, and it's set in a small town where the church is very predominant, and you've got the pastor and you've got the pastor's son, and we are following the woman who loved those people, the wife, any aunties, congregation members. Those are the black women that we're following in this book. I think it's going to have a lot of commentary on religion and religious themes, and that's something I really enjoy reading about. It's not that long, it's under 200 pages, just about under 200 pages, and yeah, it's 196 pages, so it's pretty much 200 pages. And it comes out January 29th, which is my birthday, which is coming up, so it just felt like I should read this now and try and get it finished before my birthday if I possibly can, so let's do it. Okay, so since the time that I've seen you, I've been to the cinema twice, and we're going to talk about the 2 films that I saw. So the first one that I saw was Hamnet. So back on my channel, back when Hamnet first came out, I read it and I absolutely loved it. It actually pains me to think about how long ago that was. I remember reading it when I first started working in publishing, when I first moved to London, and I loved it. Needless to say, it was one of the best books that I read that year. It's, you know, the beautiful lyrical writing, a story that centralizes a mum and her experience with loads of Shakespeare references and mentions of Shakespeare woven within it as well. Of course, I loved it. I went to see the theatre production of that when it was in theatres and it was rubbish, so I was very disappointed, and it made me very nervous for watching the film. And in the end, I do think the film was just okay. I don't actually think there's any visual media that can capture how brilliant the book is, but it's not a bad film. I just think that they had to condense it so much, and there was so much condensing of the storyline and the events of the book that it felt very rushed and just completely collapsed in on itself. A lot of that has come from the fact that they cut out the complete beginning of the book. They had to rush the romantic elements, so I didn't fully get time to believe their romance. It made characters that I loved, like Brother, just be completely sidelined, and you don't really get to see that relationship. And what I will say is that, you know, Jessie Buckley was amazing. She did really well in her role, and it was emotional, and the ending really did bring it all together. I very much enjoyed the ending and where this film finished and everything about those final scenes, and it brought home the emotion, but it just didn't bring home the entirety of the story. I also wasn't a big fan of the editing style or the directing style. I know this is Chloe Zhao, but it felt like such a try hard at being an artistic film. And I'm not saying it's not an artistic book, but some of the scenes and like camera shots, I was just like, why is this here? It's just adding to the runtime. This just doesn't bring anything to the viewing experience. So I was not a fan of the artsy shots and like the nature and the bees buzzing. It just felt like almost like a horror film. It added like a layer of sinister to it that didn't quite mesh. So the collapsing of the storyline and the editing style were the reasons why I did not enjoy the Hamlet film that much, but I do just think it's an okay watch. Then the very next day I went to the cinema again with a different friend, and we went and saw Marty Supreme. Now this was entirely not my choice. I'm not a Timothy fan really, and a film about table tennis was just not something I'm very interested in, so I was like, oh, I'm not going to watch that. And then it came time to choose what I wanted to watch with a friend, and my choices narrowed down to it needed to be Marty Supreme, so we went to see that. This was a very, very good film. A very, very good film. I am humbled. I'm humbled. And Timothy was amazing in it. Like, I just have to give that man his dues. He was a brilliant actor in this film, and he pulled off that role so well. While I was watching this film, all I could think of was to be a white man with that much confidence, you know? Because the things that this man did was... and it showed how you can have an unlikable character, but you could still reluctantly root for the character. And I think that's very hard for a story to pull off, but the narrative pulled it off perfectly. The story pulled it off perfectly, and Timothy played off this character so well that I fully was on board with this completely unlikable man. The story itself, I don't want to tell you too much about it. It is about table tennis, ping pong, but it's also kind of more than that. The story was unpredictable. I thought, you know, it's going to be something like Challengers or something like the biopics, and you're going to watch it and you're going to know exactly where it goes. No, not at all. It was unpredictable from beginning until end. There were multiple times when I looked at my friend and we just looked at each other with our jaw dropped because we just couldn't believe what was happening. I laughed out loud. I felt emotions from like happiness to sadness. I was going through it in this film. I was on that roller coaster and I was strapped in, and it takes a good film for me to feel like that. And even when it came to like the table tennis elements, I am somebody who easily falls in love with every single sport that I watch, so I don't actually watch that many sports because I get way too into it and way too involved, and that's an entirely different Olivia-Savannah that you don't get to see on my channel. So I limit my sport watching to like tennis and occasionally football, but any sport that I watch I can get very invested in, and so I was very invested in the table tennis games that you do get to see. But even just for it being a sports film, you see more sport than you see in Challengers, to be honest, and that also impressed me because I just think we have a lot of sports films where like the sports is sidelined in place of the narrative, and so the table tennis is in it, but there's also a very distinct narrative that is not so table tennis involved. Very, very good film. Probably the best film I've seen so far this year. Granted, I've only seen 3. Let's try this tea now because it's been brewing for a bit. So I have had this gingerbread chai before, but I'm here to give you my review of it now. And that tea is just as good as I remember, to be honest. It's still probably one of my favourite gingerbready teas. I think gingerbread is just a very hard flavour for teas to capture. I've had a lot of gingerbread teas that just don't quite pull it off, but this has the like heaviness and like spices elements that chai gives you, but it also does have some of that gingery undertaste. So it's not a high level of ginger flavour, but kind of like gingerbread doesn't always have the highest level of ginger. So I do think this is a very good gingerbread chai flavoured tea. I think that's how you say that sentence correctly. And then last but not least, I am over halfway through Dominion. So this is a debut, as I've said, and I've been reading a lot of literary fiction in the space of this vlog, and I just haven't been having the best time. But this this is where it's at. I'm having a great time with this book. I love it. I can't stop reading it. So I've already told you what this one is about, but it goes so much deeper than that, and it spirals so much. I'm kind of comparing this to Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo, because it's totally different in subject matter, but it's one of those literary fiction books that genuinely has a plot behind it, and I think that's so rare. And every time I find it, I'm like, yes, literary fiction with a plot, because it's not just about its themes and the characterization, although it is very much about both of those things too. It's also about the storyline. Now, I'm giving you content warnings for this even in the vlog, so there's content warnings in the description box down below. There's a lot of on-scene something in particular, and so if you are triggered by that or you don't want to read that, I've got it in the content warning below. I've got all of them listed, but this is the very first thing. So reading that is definitely intense, but this is a very big, you know, book that's tackling the concept of boys will be boys, but tackling it in the sense of church culture and church toxicity. So it's touching a little bit on purity culture, touching a little bit on like mega churches and the problems around mega churches and churches that like own land and are very involved in the economics of the area that they're in. It's tackling those problems. Whew. And it's going in. It's going in. It's a lot of show over tell, which is what I'm eating up here. It's just showing the consequences of what it's like when you have this unpicking, but all of this is not from the perspective of the people who are causing the trouble. And sometimes you get their thoughts a little bit, but this is mostly told from the mum's perspective, who's the first lady of the church, and then also from the perspective of the girlfriend. That's all I can really tell you, but I'm just telling you, if you're reading this book, strap in, because around halfway, a bit before halfway actually, the plot is gonna go places you didn't expect. In the beginning I was like, oh, this is building up to this, we're getting a very good sense of characterization and place and how powerful the men are in this community, and then it just did even more. So I am loving this and I'm along for the ride, and I'm still kind of processing the topics that it's tackling, but I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in these last 50 pages. I've only got 50 pages left. It's a short one as well, but it feels very believable. Written by a black woman, and you can see the black culture elements to this as well, especially in terms of like black churches. But I will say that there's also use of a certain slur, which I don't know if the author can use that or not, because I don't know the author's sexuality, but that does come into play here as well. This is phenomenal, so I'm hoping to finish this tonight, and then I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff in life which I just don't really, you know when you do things you don't vlog them, there's just stuff I'm not really going to vlog, so you'll mostly see me pottering around the house and cooking and stuff like that while I finish reading this book, and I'll be back up to update you very soon. I was actually so stressed last night because I was editing the beginning of this vlog, and I've been filming this vlog across 2 different cameras, across 2 different SD cards, and the way that it saves things on SD cards depends on like which camera you're using. It is confusing, but I think I've got everything in the right order. But in terms of what I've been doing, I went to see Hadestown on my birthday and it was fantastic. I've seen people fangirl over it for ages. Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction has been a fangirl of it before it even came to London, and I just was never very interested in seeing it. I'm kind of over a lot of the Greek mythology, you know, retellings, but this was so good. It was so good. I loved the music, I loved all of the songs. I have particular favorites, but I really like their use of refrain. The person who played Eurydice in my version, this is an Orpheus and Eurydice retelling, was fantastic. Her voice was amazing, and the chorus, I have not heard as good a chorus as that since I went to see & Juliet in theatres. That's how serious I am about how talented that chorus is, and their harmonies, chef's kiss. Hades, when I went to see Hercules, I was quite disappointed in how Hades was portrayed and acted, but this actor absolutely killed it. He had such a deep, rich baritone voice, and his glare was so intimidating and scary. He was everything I had wanted Hades from Hercules to be, but you know, in this instead. I think that the staging was really cool. That was done very nicely and tied into the story well. The musicians are all on stage, and I love when I get to see music live or being played live, so I adored that as well. I don't really have anything bad to say about this musical. I just had a fantastic time, and if you haven't seen it, then I recommend you do. I highly recommend you don't listen to the soundtrack before you go and see it, because I much prefer my live experience to actually listening to the soundtrack back. Not that the soundtrack is bad, but I do think it's nice when you go in not having seen that before. And as someone who is familiar with the Orpheus and Eurydice tale, I was very interested to see if they were going to stick to the original or do something different with the ending, and I was not disappointed. But now we're here to talk about the books. So I finished reading Dominion by Addie Citchens. This was brilliant. I think it's a very fantastic debut, and it was very intense. The ending was quite intense, but I think it wrapped up everything in a way that felt very suitable to the subject matters that it was dealing with, and I felt satisfied and vindicated by the ending of this book, which I think is a very important feeling to go away with. It was good. It was exactly as long as it needed to be. The storyline was good, the characterization was good. I feel like I've checked in quite a lot while reading this, so I don't have much more to add than what I said, but I really did appreciate this book. And then moving on, I have since read half of my way through Mickey 7. So Mickey 7 is the book that the film Mickey 17 with Robert Pattinson and like the other actors who are on the screen are involved in, and it's the same concept. There's but only 7 of him. So Mickey 7 is an expendable on a ship. This is sci-fi, and they are a colony ship. They are going into space to find another planet to like land on and humanize with the population, and there's already a sentient, you know, alien living there, the creepers, that they don't know much about at all, and every colony that goes out needs to have an expendable, and we are following Mickey, who is an expendable. So what expendables do is they upload their brain to a machine. They do that regularly, and then they kind of copy their DNA in their whole body, and their body can be printed out again and again and again, and they can download their mind to their body, which means it doesn't matter if he dies. So an expendable is the person who is assigned the task of doing all the dangerous jobs on their ship, on their journey, and where they land, because he's expendable, he can die whenever. So he's got this job, and we are following Mickey 7. So Mickey 7 is his 7th reiteration. He has died 7 times, and he is left for dead one day, but then he does not die, but they've already copied his body and re-downloaded his mind. So now there are 2 of him, and it's about what happens in that situation. Now, I watched the film, and it was very silly sci-fi. It's set in a sci-fi world, but the concept is intense and emotional, but it's also a very silly film, and it's a bit weird, you know, weird Robert Pattinson films. It's that kind of vibe, and so I liked it, but I didn't think it had that much substance. Turns out the substance is all in the book, because while the writing style in this is very conversational and casual, like this is my day-to-day, this is what I'm doing, oh gosh I died today and I feel really terrible about it and it's kind of got me in the dumps, it's that kind of casual writing style. it still has an underlayer of deep sadness, because he is talking about the fact that he has died several times in really traumatic and painful ways, and people just see him as a tool that can be used to die again, and they don't really care about his mental health. They don't really care about how he feels and the fact that he can remember some of these times that he has died, and that he is the same him because he has his previous memories, but he also just is not, and he feels slightly different every time. So it's got a really heavy underlying theme of like identity and what brings a person to take on this job, what pressures they feel, and it's almost existential in the themes that it's tackling. And I love me some existentialism in my books, but it does feel quite sinister with his inner dialogue and what he experiences. But at the same time, there's also a whole sci-fi plot going on. So we're on this new world, and there's this alien like first contact storyline. There's these aliens that they don't, you know, understand, and suddenly they seem to be attacking the ship. And like, why is that happening? So I'm really enjoying this. I'm finding it quite easy going to read and quite funny at times because Mickey's a sarcastic character and it is so conversational, but then I'm still getting the deeper underbeats of a good theme that I want, and also good world building and a good sci-fi story. So I have no complaints, and I will just merrily continue reading this book. And now, today is Saturday. I'm celebrating my birthday in a different way with my sisters. So I didn't do like a big party like I did last year. I just wasn't really feeling it this year, but I still wanted to celebrate me. I was actually motivated by Chanel from Chanel Chapters to celebrate my birthday. And so I've invited all my sisters over. I've got a whole load of snacks. We've got like 2 types of wine, rum and coke, 2 juices because I've got a sister who is breastfeeding, and water as well. And then I've got like 3 types of cheese, crackers, popcorn, grapes. I'll show you the full spread, cucumber and hummus, like all the snacks you could think. I have them. We're gonna make a spread. We're gonna eat snacks, drink drinks, and watch Twilight. That is the plan. That's all I want to do for my birthday. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I've also started watching Bridgerton with Simi, and I'll give you my thoughts after I've watched all 4 episodes, which will definitely happen in this vlog. Let's go!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Olivia-Savannah. Happy birthday to you. Hippity hip, hooray! Hippity hip, hooray!
And so I'm here to finally close out part 1 of Half the Haul, and that is simply because, not because I finished Mickey 7, but because this morning I started reading The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. This is a like philosophy self-help book that is trying to give you the courage to be disliked, how to stop people pleasing and achieve true happiness. That's what it says on the back. And I just heard lots of people say that this book has really like changed their perspective on things and changed their life, so I gave it a go. I made it into 50 pages, and that's a hard DNF for me. The beginning of this book, he's trying to tell me that trauma does not have an effect on your actions, and it's a choice. Like, the way that trauma affects you is a choice. Now, to some degree, I see what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that trauma affects your actions, and you need to override those responses to be able to see things through. That's what he's trying to say, but the way he's saying it is all wrong. He's saying like trauma and depression doesn't exist. You are choosing every day not to get out of bed, and I'm just like, no, no, I don't agree with that. I don't believe in that. And everything that he said so far, like, I just don't agree. I don't agree. And so this book is not going to help me unless I want it to help me feel angrier, and I don't. So I tried to read some non-fiction, and it's already gone. This is a very short turnaround for this being on my shelves. I hauled it in and I'm unhauling it straight away, but it's good that we have half the haul, because who knows how long this would have sat on my shelves before I decided it's definitely not for me. This doesn't feel like a big loss. I got this in a sale, it was £3 and it was not worth those £3. So quick unhaul, and so we are ending this vlog with me having read quite a few books, had quite a few bad books, had some good books and an unhaul, so it's a bit of a rocky start, but I'm very hopeful For the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books I need to read in episode 2, technically 5.5 because I've already started Mickey 7, and yeah, I know this is taking me a while to put up, but stay tuned for Half the Haul episode 1 part 2 coming to a channel near you soon. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Have you ever started a book and just immediately thought, no, this is not for me, time to DNF? If so, which book was that? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!